What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Tape Never Lies pregame show. I'm Ivan Vargas, and I got my guy, Big Steve Edwards, former Chicago Bears O-lineman with me. Big Steve, how are you doing this morning?
Oh man, what a glorious morning! What a glorious morning! Me and we sat here was like, I was telling Ivan before we jumped on the show. I was like, during the week, I was hearing Shane and Phil. I'm like, hey man, anybody doing a pregame show? I'm actually not working, and it just feels so great today. Like I just been looking forward to this week, especially knowing that the starters are going to be playing. I was hearing these little whispers, Caleb might not play, and this, and I was like, for the first home game, we need to see these guys and then to find out, yeah, these guys are going to play. And even if it's like for the same amount of time that they played last game, I just would love to see them come out and get a series or two. So, like I said, next thing me and Ivan put the work in last night to get the show, and here we are, man. And an hour before game time.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing the starters, like you said. And, yeah, I was definitely pumped up to go ahead and create the show. I got off work, and I actually almost forgot about it. I was, like, about to go lay my head down. I was like, oh, shit. Like, let me go down here and get to work. And I'm glad it worked out. I'm happy to be on the show with you, Steve, talking Bears. So, yeah, you had mentioned the starters, and I was doing a show earlier in the week, and Shane was in here. Shane is actually there is no watch party today, guys. So there's Shane Marsaw, the smartest man. Shane was talking about them, the Chicago Bears not playing their starters and kind of matching what the Bengals were doing. And I'm like, man, fuck the Bengals. Like, I don't care what the Bengals are doing. That has nothing to do with our operation right here, right now with the Chicago Bears. If every rep counts, then every starter's rep counts as well. Like it falls in with that. Like that's Ryan Poles' message. That's Eberflus's message. Every rep counts. This is a all hands on deck type of approach to this offseason because the Bears are expecting to go places. Why would you sit your starters just to match another team that you're going to end up dealing with? Maybe do we play I don't think we play the Bengals in the season. So you're probably not going to see them unless for some reason we meet in the Super Bowl. But regardless of that, you have to get your guys ready to go. They need their reps.
Yeah, we're in a different point. Our organization timeline is different than their organizational timeline.
Mm-hmm.
We have to continue our process, and it just shows you that we're in a different place as an organization where we're not following behind another organization. We're not following the leader. They're shutting everybody down, and we're going to shut everybody down. Or we're scared to put Caleb out there because JJ McCarthy gets hurt. And that's part of the game. And you don't want none of that to happen. Let's pray none of that happens to none of our starters or any player. But we have to keep our process, and our process is, hey, this is our first home game. Our crowd is going to be into it. The excitement about Bears football is continuing to run wild, not just because of everything's going on in the offseason. It's because they're actually showing the improvement on the field. And we're excited. We're home. It's a Saturday. And they're pumped. You know what I mean? This is the preseason home opener, but this is just the preempt, what it's going to be like when we open up against the Titans. And let's give the fans what they want, and let's get the players. Players want to come out and feel that. I'm sure those starters don't want to come out and be sitting on the sideline with hats, especially for the first one. They want to come out and feel this crowd, and it's important for some of these young guys, some of these new guys. Keenan Allen, he's a veteran. I'm sure he'd be fine. Roma Duze, these other rookies. It's important that and then most important is important for Caleb to get familiar with Soldier Field and his processes. And I'm saying this really quick. It's important to players to understand what's your process of the game that day. Coming from that hotel, coming over to the stadium, getting that all out the way, and understanding how to get yourself situated for the game is important. So I'm glad that we're getting these guys all on deck, not just from the fans, but where we at as an organization.
Shout out to Scottish Bear for the tip jar for Big Steve. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Scottish Bear, man. My guy right there. Appreciate it.
Scottish Bear's been on fire. Like to be honest, this week Scottish Bear's been going at some people, going at some naysayers of Caleb Williams that
Mm-hmm.
Starting to flip flop on.
Oh yeah, I love it, Scottish Bear, man. Call these fools out, man. Like I said a long time ago, I'm not letting anybody off the hook. Now I might not be able to remember everybody's name, but on my own social media, I know people, and I've been easy because I've been too busy in life to just be at these guys. But they know who they are, and you gotta have to live with that. And it's okay. You can slowly create. You're a Bears fan. We can slowly let you get, but like, hey, let's not act like you weren't talking crazy. You weren't.
Right.
Some of these people who are talking crazy. You know what I mean? Instead of this being full, and that's. I'm not gonna get on this rant, but here we are. The kid looks good. The people's like, don't go over the top. The reason I is looking crazy and why everybody, because we have the bandwagon jumpers from Justin Fields jumping over. That's why it's sounding insane. It wouldn't be sounding as crazy if you're a person from the get-go that's been on this side of the Caleb Williams drafting him, but now you have all these other people coming back over, and it's just a magnitude now. You know what I mean? It's like it's crazy. But the eye test is the eye test. When you see those throws, those are high-level throws that you don't see. Some quarterbacks in this league. I mean, it just is what it is. That tight window throw to DJ for the convert on the third down. Let's set up this scenario. And I keep on saying I don't want to go back to Justin Fields, but we are. There was a third down scenario with Justin Fields. You know what I mean? I don't know what other route concepts they had going on, but I know he just dumped it down to the tight end and got 6 yards, then convert the first down. Where then you got Caleb Williams in the third down scenario and throws a tight window throw to DJ. I just don't think Justin Fields is throwing that throw. I don't see it. I've never seen that tight window down accuracy, get that ball in there, convert down, and those are winning plus plays. The rollout, that tight window throw on the sidelines to commit. That's just different. That's just different. I'm not even getting into the flip, on the screen. And I criticized that on my show in practice when he did the halfback screen and he just kind of threw something up, like kind of was working on his arm angle. And I was like, does he have to do that? Why didn't he just flick it? I'm wrong. He's working on his arm angle throws. He just, like Mahomes, if you watch quarterbacks on Netflix, you get to see Patrick Mahomes working on these mechanics and things that he's going to use in the game. We're seeing it, man. And we just want to, it's going to be some downs. It's not always going to be good, but the positives are outweighing any negatives right now, and that's progression. And you got to go with it, man. It's exciting, and that's why these people are flipping.
So there's a lot of comments about the field condition after Metallica, and I know there's like 3 more concerts or something at Soldier Field.
Yeah.
With that being said, and I want the starters to be out there for, I want to say about a quarter and a half, if we could get that, you know what I'm saying? Depending on how things go, obviously we're going to actually listen to Coach Flus talk about the plan for today. They talked about the ebbs and flow of the game. That's how kind of they'll determine how long the starters play. But for me, I would like to see about a quarter and a half go into the second quarter, maybe one series, and then get them out. But how do you feel about it? Do you think that the field condition will pretty much affect or make the decision for them, or is it going to be strictly on play?
Well, you saw these in preseason game. Where's the history of preseason? You go back to the Veteran Stadium. I forget what team that was, the opposing team that came to the old Philadelphia Vet Stadium and was like, we're not playing this game because of the conditions of the turf. So that's a real thing. You know what I mean? That was AstroTurf, and that was years ago. But, obviously, if the condition of the field is not where you want it to be, that will play in your mind and your game, your game plan as far as how much people are playing with having a concert, on the ground. So, they'll just get out there, and it's been raining and everything. I know they had the tarps down, I'm sure. Just have to, then you got the humidity that's been playing, here in Chicago. It was rainy, and then it got like really humid like yesterday. So a lot to look into, and I'm sure they'll go into, but I'm guaranteed the plan is to get them started, see how, and that's what you have to deal with. So also he has to get used to these grounds. That's something we're going to probably have to attend with. There's 3 more concerts planned. That's still not from between now and the first game, there's still not enough time where you get the grounds 100% football ready. So we'll just see. We'll see. It'll be interesting to keep eye on. I think you on
Sorry,
mute.
I was
You
on
on
mute.
mute. Okay.
Another question I had for you, Steve, was, and I'm looking at the big 7-9 behind you. Your guy Pryor,
Mm-hmm.
he looked pretty good against Buffalo.
Yeah.
He looked very solid against Buffalo. I want to actually ask about Nate Davis. Now, with that being said about Pryor and his play, how concerned should Nate Davis be right now?
He should be concerned. I think he's going to get the benefit of the doubt. It goes to the question: is he playing today? I know he returned to practice. I seen him out there versus the Bengals in that scrimmage, in the squad scrimmage. The question is he going to play? The thing I know, salaries come into play as far as all that. I'm not going to put a blind eye to, because I fell victim today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where I remember Rex Tucker was a guy who was dealing with a lot of injuries. That's how I ended up starting in my second year in the NFL. And then I remember that third year, I was in line. Rex came back. He had another injury. Had another injury in training camp. And then, we had the whole like, hey, I'm in there or whatever. And he came back. And I was playing really well. And it happened a couple times that 2004 year. Mike Gandy was banged up. I was playing really well. They're gonna put those guys in there. They set me down. I was on fire. You know what I mean? Locking people up. Probably playing some of the best ball I ever played. And they set me down for Gandy at one point. Set me down for Rex Tucker at one point. And eventually in those games, those guys, I had to replace them. And, the Gandy's my boy too, by the way. But that's the reality that they're going to consider that salary and getting him on the field, even if Pryor is showing a better outcome right now. So if he shows he's healthy, even if he's not playing better than Pryor, he'll get the nod, and at least they'll see what he can do. And then maybe if he's not playing up to par in the season, Pryor, somebody could take over.
Who else do you want to see on this offensive line? I know the center, I guess we're kind of still touch and going on the center position, but we also mentioned on your show, the Bear Down with Big Steve, when we wanted to see that offensive line like solidify, when you got to make a decision. And I think this is the game where things start to be solidified. Am I wrong?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the curious thing is Nate Davis. If he's in play, then you kind of get to see more of the realistic look of the offense. I have a feeling he's not going to play, even if he's at practice. Maybe they're putting him in bubble wraps. Bates, I don't know if he even returned to practice. I would like to see these guys get back in and get some preseason action. Pryor, just to go back to him, he really impressed me this last game. And this is somebody I've been telling everybody to keep an eye on. 6'7", 335, mountain of a man. He puts his hands on people. He's stifling people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I had to look this morning just to kind of get an idea. 24 starts, you know what I mean? So he's got a lot of experience. Came from San Fran, had some starts there. I think the Colts maybe I think he played for. But he's just a massive man, and he can working with Darnell Wright, who I think does really well with a bigger body next to him. Just obviously with Tevin Jenkins, that really went well. That was a good pairing. I would like to see him in there, you know what I mean? But we got to find the right combination. I think it's a good problem to have right now because You got a lot of different multifacets. You can move things around. I do want to see Bates at center. That's why I think you got to see Nate Davis. And I know he's the guy who could play that right guard, but it's going to be, I would like to see Nate Davis or Pryor, and then Bates or Sheldon Coleman. And one thing about Sheldon Coleman, some people said he played average that last guy. I've seen sometimes he doesn't really get movement at the point of attack. I know some people were a victim of highlights, so he got out on that screen and made a good, hit the pop Swift free. But on some other plays, he had some problems against the bull rush and one-on-one battles. So I don't know. I would love to see Bates get the opportunity to get those reps, but obviously he's been banged up too. So I think this game, who's out there will start indicating. If Pryor comes out and has a performance like he did this last game, you have to start worrying if you're Nate Davis, because this guy's a big man. But like I said, I think at the end of the day, they could say all that. That might be the motivation to get him out there by the coaches, but that contract's always going to give him an opportunity to come back out and play.
Right. And Caleb is playing today. Starters are playing today, Dale. Talking about that point of attack, like I completely agree with you. If they could figure out somebody that could control that middle of the offensive line, and I'm talking about in particular Kenny Clark up in Green Bay, because if you could, for me, when we're playing the Packers, if you could find a way to stifle Kenny Clark, you could have a big day on offense. And that's something that we haven't had in a long time, as a center that can control the middle of that offense, can lead the middle of that offense. Not saying, not going to go ahead and put guys down here on this team because I haven't seen it yet. But that's what I'm looking for. Somebody, exactly what you said, somebody that's going to get that push in the middle. Let's go ahead and actually, what's up? Shout out to Phil. What's up? You're just out of practice at the grocery store listening to his guys. That's us. Well, appreciate you,
Phil.
Appreciate you, Phil. Hope practice was great. Hope you weren't too hard.
You better hurry up, Phil. You better hurry up, make that grocery shopping run and get to the game.
Phil's just throwing shit in
some wings or something, huh?
He's just throwing shit in the cart at this point. He's like, hurry up. Come on. We got to
go. Timing, everything. No, this really quick to go back. He's talking about just the point of attack. Bates is not really a strong point of attack either. He's not a movement guy. With this, even going back when me and Phil, we broke down that Bates tape, in free agency. When we actually got him in the trade, we went back and looked at him. He really does a good job of really just kind of getting attached to guys and getting to the outside shoulders. He's very agile, very quick. He's good, really good at second level. Super good athlete. That's what you want in your center, a guy who can really get up to that next level, get out on screens, pull them if you want to, but like even just getting second level. He does a really good job of locking into guys and covering up, but he's not really a point of movement guy. The thing that Olin used to always like, he liked to have bigger guys next to him. Because it was like having a shield of bodyguards, because Olin wasn't the biggest guy, but he loved having me. And obviously this can't be a big guy. You got to come off the freaking rock. So just imagine, if you had Bates and, obviously you got to get Nate Davis his opportunity. But I look at it, if you had a guy like a Pryor and a Tevin Jenkins, that's a lot of big man in the middle right there next to your center. I would like to see that combination. So a lot is going to come, coming back down to your point, Ivan. It's going to be a lot put into this game, which is more exciting, and that's why my focal point is this O line and this D line.
And now we're going to switch over to the D line. A guy that we were talking about before we came on air, Austin Booker. I'm very excited about the young man, even though it is preseason, but for me, though, his energy, his motor, his tenacity getting to the quarterback, those are all things that have been flashing in front of our eyes, and something that we've, obviously Bears fans and, the team has taken notice of. How do you feel the Bears are going to approach this rotation? I know there's been talks about going and getting other guys. We talked about Judon. The Bears are involved with that. Ultimately, the Falcons ended up trading for Judon for a third. Rumor was that they wanted a second, and Pohl said, "I don't think so." How do you feel that's going to play out? Are they going to look for the answer in house, or are they going to go out there and try to get another guy?
Well, I think obviously the Bears have gotten to this point of the year where, you know, you're not picking anybody up. You're into training camp. I believe they're trusting what they got right now. And I think a strong reason why they're trusting in what they got is because of the coaching, you know, with Eric Washington and Travis Smith. You know, two really good. Eric Washington is obviously the D coordinator, but he's very heavily involved in that D line. With Eberflus still being the play caller defensively, he got the title, but it's one of those things where Eberflus is still going to be calling the plays as Eric Washington is probably learning. And Travis Smith is a guy who's worked with what's our boy up with the Raiders. He had his hands on him, the DN. Can't think of his name.
Max Crosby.
Max Crosby. So he was part of that development. So I think it was one of these things where these guys were like, you know, we're gonna trust the coaching to develop these guys. You know what I mean? And I believe in coaching and developing. And when you got somebody who's really high level, because there's some coaches out here that are not really that good, who are not going to take you to that next level. And some guys really need that. Coaching doesn't stop when you get to the NFL. I could tell you that. I was already, you know, a couple years in the league, and we get Pete Hainer comes in as the O-line coach, and everybody's technique drops down. And I mean everybody. I mean, even Olin, like all our technique just went to shit. You know what I mean? Because the guy wasn't a technician guy. And then here comes Harry Heasted next year, and everything goes back up. So coaching does matter. So these two guys with this clout, you know, and these reputations are going to improve our D line, and let's see what we can do within coaching. So if they feel like there's things to be needed to be added, you know, obviously the end of training camp, there's a lot of people getting released. There's a lot of trades, and you know, so they could look into that market once training camp ends, and see what they need if they do need anything. But right now, this group is a group in development, and Austin Booker's a big part of that. I mean, you even see Don Robertson. You see a little difference in him. A little more high activity, but he's being more effective. So I think they're going to continue out, but then we'll have to see how this thing all unfolds, and you know, if they need to go get somebody.
Right. Looking at the secondary, and we're actually going to, you know, let's go ahead and jump in and listen to Flus, because the Bears had the joint practice on Thursday, and the secondary had some big plays. The Bears defense was on fire, but let's go ahead and listen to what the coach had to say about that practice.
Okay. Really good day. And I want to just compliment, first of all, our guys, and also Cincinnati for being professionals. You know, you always worry about, you know, guys, you know, going off and fighting and all those things, and they were great. They stayed on their feet, stayed away from the quarterback on both sides, and did a really good job of just being professional. And they were physical. We got some really good work done. So a lot of good situations in that practice. Like I said, that's the first time I've done that one-day joint practice, and again, I thought it was really good. A lot of good work in the kicking game. As you guys saw, certainly with that long period we have a kickoff return, that was very beneficial for us to be able to go back and look at that. Punt return, that was really good too. But again, we finished off with a 2-minute at the end. I thought that was good with the 1s and 2s. A lot of good work overall. In terms of the starters this week, you know, I'm just going to say this: we feel really good about our plan and the process that we've been through so far in training camp. And you will see the starters in that game. You know, so again, I talked about competitive reps the other day, and I feel like we've gotten a lot of good competitive reps. You know, 1s-on-1s, a lot of good situations. This day was another chance for us to get competitive reps against another opponent, another skill set, which was outstanding. And then this week coming up on Saturday, we get another chance to get some reps there too. So we feel really good about that. Yeah. So with that, open to questions.
But how many reps are you expecting?
Yeah, like I said, we feel good about our plan, our process there, and that depends on the ebb and flow of the game. So we'll figure that out when we're at the game, and we got a good range that we feel good about, like we did last time, and we'll see where that is during the game.
Matt, with the 2 injuries that Cincinnati had in about a 10-minute stretch, is there any thought to call in practice early?
No, it's very unfortunate, and you feel bad for those particular players that had those injuries. But we had a plan in place for the rain. If we had the lightning, that was certainly that. And then if we have an extended thing for injury, we could always combine the fields and make them one, as we would have done with the WPC if we had to take it inside. But yeah, so that's where we are.
What Caleb did last Saturday and coming in through this week of practice, how has he built on that heading into now another chance to kind of get those reps in the preseason?
Well, it was really good because Cincinnati offers a different structure, a different set of circumstances or looks, so to speak, that you get from different teams across the league, and you're going to face that week in and week out. So I think it was very beneficial to play a Buffalo team that is very similar to us in turn defensively. So it wasn't that big of a stretch for him to learn those the rules and where things are in terms of the passing game. Coverage contours are similar, and then this group's a little bit different. And they do some different things. They're an odd structure team, and so for him to learn the rules, the protection rules, the runs, the pass, and where the open space is, I think was really good learning for him and experience. And I thought this was outstanding today too. That first 7-on-7, he threw an interception. Then he comes back. So it was great to be out there in the weather today for really everybody, just because of the ball. That you have to handle the ball differently in the wet. And it was wet out there. And it was a pretty good rain at times. But not only that, it's also the footwork. The footwork matters. You got to keep your feet under your frame. You got to make sure that you're doing a good job with your footwork. In terms of planning, driving, moving in that wet condition. So I thought that was a good experience too for really everybody.
How has Nate Davis looked since he got back out to practice? And you were different talking about a player that's been out for a while with injuries with us as you have been maybe in 3 years with him. Do you think was that used to get a message through to him?
I will just say this about Nate. He's been working to get back. And he's done that. And it's unfortunate that he's had those injuries that he's had in his time here. But again, he's worked every time to get back. And when he was back, he did a nice job in there. So again, that's a competition. We're looking at that for who the best inside players are for us. That's not solidified yet at center or at that one guard position. We feel really good about Tev at that one spot. So we'll see where that goes going through this week and moving into the next week.
And that goes to Steve's point about them getting Nate Davis's reps. That he didn't mention the contract situations, which is absolutely true on what you said, Steve. But they're definitely going to, no matter how frustrated they've been, they're going to go ahead and get him his reps.
Yeah, they're not. That's just the way the game. They got to get something out of there. If the guy's ready, even though Pryor's playing better, they're gonna get Nate in there. And they know they can fall back on Pryor if Nate is not getting it done. You know what I mean? So that's, and you could pretty much say Pryor, he was a guy like early in the year, like, is he gonna make this team? It's a done deal,
Right.
I think Bates will be back out there.
Yeah, he's week to week right now, so I don't really know. I'm hopeful that it's soon. So I hope we'll see.
Matt, with Bayless going from, I think, with 2s earlier in the week and getting some 1 reps today, what has he shown you to earn those starters reps?
Just toughness, and he's able to handle that position. You would think that, hey, come a receiver and then going back to, to the tight or the halfback spot is you got to have some toughness in there, and he does, and he's able to get the reads down, and he's slowly getting it. It's not easy to learn how to run the outside zone and the inside duo play and all the plays that everybody runs in the league. That takes some time. And then really about the protections, he's learning that. I know he was up here talking about that, but he's getting those too.
This might sound silly, but just the way that it was positioned on Hard Knocks, like if he's making this switch to running back, is that a potential, if he makes the roster, is that a reclassification for him of position?
Yeah, I don't think we're there yet to make that declaration, but certainly the more flexibility you have, and we're using our skill sets, and my hats off to the offensive staff and Shane to be able to do that.
Coach Johnson. Jalen was rarely targeted today in practice, similar to how it was last year. Obviously, he had 2 rookies playing opposite him, but does that allow you to take advantage of the numbers game in a different way and just do different things with rolling coverages or sending pressure from the other side?
Yeah, that's a good point. We look at that all the time. Where the ball's being thrown and where it's not, and then where you can really lean your coverages to certain players when they're located in those spots. Teams do a great job of putting those good players on the move a lot of times through jet motion, through normal motion, through formationing, putting them in different locations. So you really have to be on it and on the screws on that. But I definitely see the point there.
It seemed like the first team defensive line was playing pretty well in team period. Gervin Dexter had pressure. It seemed that they were doing pretty well against the run. What have you seen out of that group and the way they're kind of coming along this summer?
Yeah, it's good to have Dex in there and Big Bill's in there. So those guys have done a really good job of solidifying the middle. You can play good run defense when your tackles play well, right? And they have to really own that inside because if they don't own the inside, then there's gaps that are exposed in the running game. It doesn't matter if it's an inside run or outside run. So those guys have done a solid job of that. But the run defense starts right there every time, and then. To me, it's about those guys really applying that pressure inside. You have a big man in there to be able to apply some big pressure with some big length to be able to deflect footballs and those create takeaways and really create pressure on the quarterback. But it's good to see he's got good progress so far.
How do you feel about Javon Dexter's progress, Steve?
I think obviously, I think he's gotten better. And I've talked about it. Where you saw the improvement, the burst. Watching the last game, still play high at times, still get stuck on the blocks at times, and that's all part of the progress. I mean, his reps are going to go up, so he's not going to be a finished product, you know what I mean? But he's ascending in the right direction. So we just got to keep seeing. I would love to see him with more reps today. That's another guy that I got on the spotlight, you know what I mean, along others on the D-line that I need to see him continue to take the steps that are necessary to get where he needs to be and where he needs to be to, positively affect this defense. But, yeah, it's still high at times and get stuck, but then there was a couple times where I seen him flash and get some pressure and press that middle of that pocket. So, I'm liking the progress, and I still need to see more. And he needs to keep grinding and keep working.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the biggest thing for him was getting in better shape. Like you could tell, you could see his body movement is just different. It doesn't look like it looks like he's faster, definitely from last year. So let's go ahead and move on and finish up this interview.
I think Shane said that if the right guard spot is Davis's when he gets healthy, and that's been the case since he's been back. But is that his job to lose, or will that be a competition when Bates gets back also?
Yeah, like I said, I think it's important that we keep an open mind here. We're not, it's not the end of training camp yet, and I think we just keep an open mind. What's the health of Bates? That's going to be a factor of that. Davis also staying healthy, Matt progressing, in that spot as well and doing a nice job last week in the Buffalo game in the practice, so. I think we make that decision, as fast as we can, but we also take your process and make the right decision. And again, we're going to need everybody. Everybody's going to play. Those guys that I just said are going to play and be part of our line. And we're fortunate to be able to have that flexibility and that position flex and those guys being able to move in there that have those starter reps in the NFL. So I think it's a good position to be in.
Matt, when you look at a young player like Austin Booker, who with every opportunity you've given him, he seems to.
You said Austin. You said Booker.
Austin Booker.
Okay.
Yeah. It seems with every opportunity to find his way to make an impact in some way. Does that make you want to see him out there possibly against the ones this Sunday? Saw him get some run versus the ones today. Maybe just to see, okay, you've shown it versus the twos, you've shown it versus the threes. Now let's see what you can do versus the best.
Yeah, I think he's earned that. Now we got to talk about that as a staff, but we definitely rotate those players. Who we see as the rush group. So you're rotating at least 6 of those guys during the course of a game. If you have 8 up or, active for the game, and he's really shown well in terms of that. He's like I said, he's a natural rusher, real instinctual, doesn't predetermine prior to, and you saw that today again. He's got some guys just have natural slip and be able to turn the corner. he's got that. And so he's, improving. And the most important thing he has is motor. He throws his fastball every play, and that's what a good D lineman does.
Next step for
Last one,
Caleb.
Courtney.
Last week you said just the operation, awareness in the pocket for Caleb. What's the next step you want to see from him this week?
Just much of the same. Really, like I said, he's going against a different structure here. So I think that just, much of the same and improving and doing the basics of quarterbacking. And I think that he did that last week at a solid rate. There's a couple things with the footwork under center and those types of things where he's got to improve, and he's worked on those this week, but really much of the same and just a leveling up, as we go through these weeks.
All right, that was Coach Matt Eberflus talking about the development of Austin Booker, also talking about Nate Davis and the playing time of Caleb Williams. I feel like one thing that has been kind of bothering me, and I'll start there. This Velus Jones experiment. I don't like it. I do not like it. I don't trust Velus Jones with the football. I know he's going, and it's going to be tough to change positions, but it's a simple fact that I've seen him before, regardless of what position he was at, put the ball on the ground time and time again. Now we want to go ahead and put him in a situation where he's going to get hit a lot more than he did, prior to, and he wasn't getting hit as much as he was, and he still wasn't able to hold on to the football. So my concern is are you able to trust a work in progress, a project at the running back position in season when the reputation he has?
That's a tough one, man. Like, just to put him in that spot, where is he going to get these carries? Like, maybe there's some I don't trust him going in between the tackles. Maybe they got some gadget stuff for him, but I'm not looking at him like a Cordell Patterson, who was way bigger, more physical, had more ball security, didn't have the yips of fumbling. So I don't know how you factor him into this backfield and mess up a rhythm. When you have Swift and you're going to have Khalil Herbert, who's looked good. I think that's going to be a nice addition. And then that third running back position, is he, Homer or who else is in there? You got the kid that number 33. Everybody's been off of the Hard Knocks. Everybody's been clamoring
Wheeler.
about.
Wheeler.
I don't know how you take these reps around from real running backs, from a guy who it looks nice at practice and he's exploding, and obviously the guy runs a 4.3 or whatever, low 4.3s. It looks nice and explosive until his ass gets knocked off and that ball comes flying out of there. So I think they're trying to validate. And I think Poles is great. As good as he's been, he has a little love affair where we're trying to make this pick work. You know what I mean? It's one of his picks. They're trying desperately to try to tap the most potential out of him.
Right.
And I just don't know if this project is going to be worthwhile, but I would love to see him get a couple carries in this game and see if it is. Like, get him some carries in this game. Get him, if you want to get a good experiment at this, let's see it. I want to see it early and often. I don't want to see it in the fourth quarter. We got guys who may not be around. I want to see it early and often. You know what I mean? Give him a couple plays. If he's going to be a part of this team in that capacity, obviously he's going to be mixed in getting carries in the real season. So let's see it early. I don't want it to mess up the rhythm on the offense. Maybe do it when Bajan's in there, not when Caleb's in there. Let's not mess up the flow. But right around that time, Bajan and them get in. Let's see them get those carries against like second team guys. But I'm not trusting it either, Ivan. I'm with you.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple carries. The couple carries I saw last week, there's once or twice he had a touchdown. There was a couple times he went, in the belly of the defense, and he came out not bad, but nothing big, but not bad. But then there was a couple times where another pitch play where he just stumbled. He couldn't get his feet under him to turn upfield. Like he doesn't know that type of angle on how to catch a pitch, because he ended up putting the ball on the ground again. the one fumble that I wouldn't say it was a fumble. It looked like it was a Bagent pitch, and Velus just didn't run through the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, here goes the pitch, run. Velus is like, it looked like he wanted to slow up, catch the ball, and then take off. And it's like, no, you got to be able to catch the ball while you're running and then get upfield. And it just doesn't look clean. It looks like you're trying to force something that isn't there. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. At this, let's test the waters, and this is what's going to be part of this game today. Let's see all this stuff, real quick. Shane had me looking at this. He said, "Is this?" I don't think unless they told her to go change her coat. I looked at the live feed. And I said, "No, she didn't. No, she didn't do that." I mean,
I'm about to put up the pic right now.
I seen her right now in some army fatigue. She's got a boot on her foot, and she's got like an army fatigue. Like, is that a pack? But it's got Packers in it.
It's got a patch on the shoulder. If you look up at the shoulder, there's a patch.
Oh, no, she did not. I know you want to. Yeah, I know you want to support your man, but do you understand this? What are you doing here?
I don't think she does, Steve. I mean, greatest gymnast in the world, completely oblivious, unless she does know what she's doing.
Is that Sony? What's the name? Who's that girl walking with her? Let me not look. My wife's gonna be like, "What are you talking? Like, you creep." I'm like, "Who's that with her?"
I think you're talking about Sunny Lee. If that's
Sunny Lee. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but yeah. Here's the picture right here.
Oh no, hell no.
Yeah, here's the picture here.
And that's a picture of whoever she's with. Oh my goodness!
Right. And it is. I think the jacket is actually of Owens. Like
like him.
Right.
But you just can't have that.
Don't get it. Make it. Just have them remake it. Cover up the Packer patch.
Take that off. Like, no, obviously she didn't maybe tell. Like, oh man, it's not a good start, Simone. Everybody loves Simone Biles too, man. It's just not a good start with the Bears fans. It was a good start with you bringing old girl right here. That was a good start.
Thanks for that. All right, let's get this.
Who is that her? I'm gonna have to find out. I'm gonna have to do my social media. Who the hell is that with her? I'll look on her social media and see who that is.
But no, I mean, like,
man, like, yeah, she's in the building with a damn Green Bay. Reports have come in, like, but the Bears fans, they come like we on it, man. Everybody's excited. We talk about Austin Booker, and I want to go back to him.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching, obviously I missed the game last week. Thanks for getting that posted up there, Ivan. So I can look a little bit at film. Austin Booker's giving me a lot of different type of DNs comps. And one is somebody, I mean, guy should be a Hall of Famer. Obviously he's kind of got a blackballed. I think he's kind of got blackballed a little bit, but should be in the Hall of Fame. And that's Simeon Rice.
Yeah.
My fellow Mark Carmel alumnus. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Simeon with just kind of his burst and his longness. I think he's going to be a little more physical at the point of attack than Simeon. That was one thing I was worried about him because he's kind of got that slender build, but he's really got long arms. He's not scared to get into, taking the inside. And I think that's a little different from Simeon. Simeon was always an outside speed rush guy. The thing I think is unique about Austin, where you can tell already, he's going to be a guy who's going to be able to threaten you around the edge with speed, but also would take the inside move and is not scared to go down the middle of you and use his long arms. It's sticky. We saw it against Dawkins of the Buffalo Bills, their left tackle, starting left tackle. He sticks his arm, long arm, stab, and then works the inside move. Real slick type of inside move that a lot of DNs kind of move, work and slips inside. So the potential's there for him. What a steal in the fifth round, dude. This guy,
Yeah.
if you start evaluating, obviously we haven't gotten the season, but if you want to start an early evaluation of how he's played so far, that it really bumps him up into like a third round. You know what I mean? If you're looking at how he's practiced, how he's looked already, and obviously 2.5 sacks last week and constantly around the quarterback, he's a third round guy. You know what I mean? If not bumping into the second round. Obviously, they said he was a guy who could be a first round if he had stayed in school. But what a steal that is. And hopefully he keeps progressing and stays healthy. And I think that might be some of the reasons why they're not rushing out here to get a guy, because you get a guy, obviously you find a mixture to get a guy and get reps. But I think the plan is right now is like, hey, we want to get as much reps and with Austin and get him on the field as much as possible to start his get him to progress with the number of snaps. And it goes back to DeMarcus Walker. We played him a nice little bit of penny. Let's see, without the injuries, let's see what he does. So but Austin Booker is going to be awesome. I keep an eye on him. One guy that I kind of popped a little bit when I was looking, I'm going to ask you, Ivan, Daniel Hardy. What do you know about this guy? I've kind of seen him kind of pop a little bit at times on the film.
Yeah, I know about as much as you. I really don't, what I'm saying, I've been focused on other guys, but he has been popping on film. He has been, active in the games and in practice. He's a guy that's been very active and around the ball, around the play, somebody that's just involved all the time. You see him there, you see him around the football. He's obviously flashing to the coaches and, obviously us as well. I don't know much about him. I hope he could contribute big time. Cause like we have a young group of guys that could contribute, this is something that's promising for the future. And that's kind of what Ryan Poles has done with this entire team is make it about a youth movement, but with a good mixture of veteran guys that aren't too over the hill, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on him, Bears fans. Let's go, TTNL family. Let's keep an eye on him. I think we got to keep an eye on Zach Pickens. Saw a little bit from him, little couple flashes. Still not, still not giving me. You could see somewhere that talent, that get off. He had in college. I'm keeping a close eye on him. Where he is, because he's obviously going to be a backup. It's pouring at Soldier Field.
Yeah, I'm watching. Luke Canellis is on Fox 32, and his hair is all wet, like he's soaked right now. So
one thing that's going to play a factor, guys. That's going to play a factor. But hey, it didn't stop them from practicing at Hallis Hall and rain this week with the Bengals. So let's just keep an eye on all this stuff. It's setting up. Obviously, I hope we get enough reps, but it's setting up for interesting things. Would Keenan Allen be somebody you like? All right, Keenan, your soft tissue hamstrings might not, So
that's a good point.
Bringing up the theatrics here today. But real quick, obviously Zach Pickens, not worried about Sweat, Dominic Robinson, Daniel Hardy, Austin Booker, and also you looking for flashes from. And the O-line, I think, how is this O-line going to kind of square off is the big thing for me. How many are you keeping on this roster? Are you keeping 9? Are you keeping 8? Because it always flex from an 8 to 9 to 10. If I'm looking at the roster now, I'm definitely feeling like it's going to be 9. I don't know how the rest of the roster is going to fall, but if I'm the Bears, I'm keeping 9 for insurance. Just and what does that look like? Larry Borum, is he? I know we got Jake Curhan. Am I saying this name right? It's number 73. I know we picked him up from Seattle. He has 9 starts. Larry Borum, obviously, he's got 23 starts for us. Can play guard, can move around. Obviously, I think now he's more at tackle. I think he doesn't have to worry about going inside because he had to, because we didn't really have that many backups. Now we're we're stacked. I think he could focus on being that swing tackle, but Jake Curran, like, I don't know, like, how is this roster going to fall into place? Also based on who's available and when it's time to go. So keep an eye on let's keep an eye on inside the trenches. Now I know it's going to be exciting to see everybody else, but my eyes are going to be on the trenches. Obviously, Caleb, how long is he going to play? How effective is he going to be? And we go from there, man. I'm excited, but this rain sucks though.
Yeah, I think this is going to affect. And Bob Keller was saying that Poles was looking over the field and he didn't look happy. So, this is something that goes. We shouldn't have this type of an issue. We won't have this type of an issue, I believe, when we get our own stadium. There will be things that are different. I'm sure they're gonna switch out the field if they do have concerts and stuff like that. They'll figure out some type of way to protect the field.
And that goes back to why it's just so necessary. I just don't think the lakefront situation is going to work out. I think it's a smoking cloud. It'll be nice to keep it in Chicago, but I just don't think you can have this entity where you're working with the Chicago Park District and this, where you don't have ownership, where you can dictate who's going to play what concert when. When you own the building, you dictate when somebody's going to be in there based on what's the most important is your team. And that's why it's looking like we're not going to be there, because you can't, forget all the other stuff, man. You got to work with somebody who, I work for the Park District. So it's just one of those things. Hey, they're going to work. They're going to get their money. They're going to get their money and get their concerts in. And it's never been a concern about how the Bears feel about it. Even though the Bears are, it's a weird thing. And then who knows where it's at right now with that relationship, especially with the Bears flirting with the idea of moving to Arlington. So it's going to be a while, but I think that's more the reason why you see the Bears leave.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that's a good place for us to wrap up. Steve,
Yeah.
the game's going to be on here in a couple of minutes.
Let's get set.
Thank you guys for joining us. I think, as long as Steve's down, I think we will be doing this a lot more throughout the season.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. We're going to make it happen. It's going to be a couple times I'm going to be at the game, but when I'm at the crib, just chilling. Yeah, I can definitely see us jumping on here and having some good time right before we get this thing going. So, yeah, let's make it happen. Let's get us a nice little intro too, Sue.
We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
But,
bear down, man.
Yeah, before we go, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Tape Never Lies Network. Make sure you check out the Bear Down with Big Steve on Mondays at 7 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you check out me whenever I pop up here on the Tape Never Lies Network. With that being said, Bear Down, appreciate you. Go Bears. Let's get this dub today.